Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Corey Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. This show is sponsored by Restore FX, which is your paintless clear coat repair experts. Today on the podcast, we have Shiloh and Derek with a company called Glassweld. They have been innovating in glass repair technology for 40 years, and we're going to talk today about how you can add glass repair to your business to make some extra money. Thank you for joining us, Shiloh and Derek.
Thanks for having us, guys. We appreciate it.
So I like to start at the very beginning. This is a long history, 40 years. So how did you guys get into automotive reconditioning, repair, and how this company started 40 years ago? Let us know how that works.
Yeah, awesome. So my grandfather and my uncle back in the late 1970s were entrepreneurs. They were looking to make more money and spend more time with their families. And they enjoyed working on cars, and they got into striping, if you remember that back in the day.
I do. And real quick, this is actually Shiloh speaking. So quick introduction, just so people can tell the voices apart.
For sure. Yeah.
But yes, I do remember that. I used to work at a Hertz account back in the day, and they pinstriped every single car that came through that place.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing back in the day. And so, there was like a painted freehand style that they would do. So they got into that, and then in the late 1970s, there was a company by the name of Novus that came out with a franchise model for windshield repair. And my father and my grandfather and my uncle all got involved in that and started doing windshield repair work under the Novus brand. And then 4 or 5 years later, maybe a little bit less than that, out in the Portland area, they came up with an idea on how to improve the process a little bit. Novus wasn't interested in the technology, and so they decided to go their own separate ways. And so around that time, 1978, 79, Glassweld started making the first windshield repair tools that were built and sold to anybody, right? Like, you didn't have to be a franchise. You could just buy the tools, start a business, add it on to your business. So that's where we got our start. And then over the years, it's just progressed from there to the point that, now we have distribution in what is it, 30 to 40 countries, Derek, something like that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Just continue to innovate on the tools ever since.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek. I run the sales side of the business.
So you just came in, family business, and you're not related to the family. You're just
No, I'm not. I actually came from the software industry, so I was doing the same thing, but managing the sales side of a software as a service company.
Nice.
And
awesome.
And it ended up here completely by chance. I've driven by this building for 20 years and always wondered what happened in here. And, now I'm here every day.
There you go. Okay, I got to ask the obvious question. I feel like innovating glass repair technology for 40 years, how hard can it be? Right. That's it. I not to be rude, but like the honest question, like, okay, innovating for 40 years, like, what are we talking? We just filled a little silicone and we're good, right? Explain to us what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're right in a sense. When you look at the industry as a whole, and you look at a lot of the repair technology out there that is still being used, it looks pretty similar to the stuff that my grandpa used in the late 1970s. That's the honest truth. You're right. There hasn't been a whole ton of innovation outside of us and a few other companies that have tried to kind of push the envelope forward on it. In essence, you're right. The goal with a windshield repair is to get a high quality resin that will fill all of the space in the crack with no air and fully harden it so that it restores the structural integrity of the windshield. But accomplishing that is a little more difficult. And so what you see is traditionally that the industry uses what we call screw thread technology, which is basically just, a cylinder. You drop some resin at the top, you force it in, and you keep forcing it in until you can try to get as much of the resin into as many parts of the crack as possible. And then, traditionally guys would use a bunch of different tricks to try to speed that up or make it more effective. Our goal at Glassweld has always been let's make that easier. Let's make doing a perfect repair really, really simple. And so the original ProVac, which came out in the early 1980s, allowed you to be able to pull a vacuum on the repair. So you're removing the air first and then hold a vacuum while you mechanically force resin in. So suddenly something that was like complicated and required all these tricks, and you'd still end up with air bubbles in your brakes, which is basically a weak repair, became a lot simpler. And then so ever since then, it's just been everything from resin technology to hiding the repair better to solving all different things, curing, etc., that have evolved every 5 to 7 years. We've come out with new versions of those things to try to make it easier and faster and quicker.
That's awesome. Ryan, you've done glass repair before back in the day, right?
Yeah, probably about four, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We were doing glass repair, and it was the same problems that Screw Technology. We didn't know what could be fixed and what couldn't be fixed, obviously. So it was a lot of trial and error for us. We didn't really get training. It was like they just gave you a card that kind of told you what to do, and it was like I think half the repairs were not stable. Just because, like you said, they had little bits of air that you'd have to sit there forever trying to vacuum, pull it out and push it in, push it out, all that. So it was a little bit harder for us to kind of, get that grasp down as far as making a good repair. But we were still able to fix stuff that surprised me every day. So I'm excited about what these guys are got going on with the, better technology, and it being easier is going to be something that we should all look at.
So how can we make money?
Yeah.
Go back to that. Like, how much money can we make? That's the next. Okay. I'm just asking questions the people listening are going to ask.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I mean, I think we're probably the only manufacturer that can make a claim like I'm about to make. But essentially, you have to pay about 5 minutes roughly of direct attention to doing an actual repair. You're going to make anywhere from $80 to $125, and your cost is 35 cents. So it's super high profit. The way our system works, you can pull a vacuum, walk away, go back to doing whatever you were doing on the car, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or an hour, 2 hours. It's not going to mess anything up. So it's really good as an add-on revenue stream, regardless of the service you provide. The only real thing that you have to add is just inspecting the windshield when you take a vehicle in.
Yeah, that takes a few minutes. We all see rock chips in windshields, I feel like, but I mean, if you're even if you're not looking. So literally 5 minutes setup. You can leave it there, like you said, for the 5. You can leave it there for 20 minutes or an hour, and it doesn't really affect the whatever the device is doing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. If anything, it just means the tools will do more of the work for you.
Gotcha.
Historically, it's been like a fine art, and it kind of it was kind of reserved for this group of specific auto glass repair professionals, and they've spent decades mastering like the art of glass repair. And as a company, I mean, how many projects do we have in R&D right now? Like 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly pushing the envelope, and every single one of those is designed. The whole idea is, how do we make this to where anybody can do it and come out with professional level work? And we've been very successful with that approach. It's we do a ton of business in detailing. I mean, detailers, they're getting paid $250, $350 to wash a car for like half of a day
and vacuum it out too.
Right. And it's this long, laborious process, and we'll give them here's a 30% pay raise for adding 5 minutes to what you're doing.
Okay, so like, I know one glass repair guy. I know a lot of windshield replacement people. I know one glass repair dude, super old dude's got his old equipment probably from the 90s. why isn't anybody doing this? Like, what did we all miss, or what did we all forget that you can make? Like, I mean, you could buy like 5 of these things, go to a dealership lot, do 5 cars at a time.
Yeah.
Why is this so much more important now to do glass chip repair than it was 20 years ago? I guess.
I think there's a couple of things going on. One, for auto glass people, if your business is auto glass, and you can replace a windshield and recalibrate it and make $1,000 or $1,200, like, you're going to lean in that direction. Okay. But if you're making, you know, if you're making your money performing other services on the vehicle and replacing windshields isn't your jam, then it makes sense. I mean, you're saving everybody money. And at the same time, collecting a pretty solid profit.
Yeah. And you mentioned, go ahead, Shiloh.
I was going to say, on the replacement side, you know, replacement, as Derek said, can be lucrative, but it's hugely complicated. And basically every replacement is different, right? So different parts, different techniques, etc. Whereas repair is pretty much always the same. So it's far easier to duplicate, you know? And I think Derek touched on one of the trends. That's one for sure. The other is just where all the technology has gone in the windshield has changed the game, where like windshield repair used to average, say, like $40, 45. You know, that's now increasing significantly as the complication that's involved in replacing a windshield has increased. I mean,
can I ask a question? I don't know if you know the answer. How much did it used to like Derek said, $1,000, $1,200. If any of you guys had a windshield crack and you have a somewhat newish car, it's really expensive, whether it's defrosting, heads-up displays, calibrations, whatever it is in there. How much did it used to cost to replace a windshield? Do you have any idea? Like in like the 90s or early 2000s?
Yeah, even 5 or 10 years ago, a lot of windshields could replace for a couple $100,
$200. Yeah. So how much can you get for a chip repair when they're like, well, I got 2 chips on my windshield and a bunch of little like other little cracks, like little sand marks and whatnot. I might as well just get a new one. But now you don't want to because it's so expensive.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then it especially comes into play like for guys that do dealership work, right? So dealerships, if they're using like an auto glass guy that does replacements, then they're going to give it, you know, maybe a little effort to do a repair, but their goal is to replace that windshield. So it's costing the dealership obscene amounts of money that really could probably be repaired for a fraction of the cost.
Interesting.
Yep, exactly.
How big of a repair, I guess, inch-wise, because obviously they're all different, but we get some that might have like longer legs to them, right? Is there a limit to that?
I mean, the industry standard is you can do a long crack up to 14 inches. And I think
we need to know that.
14 inches?
Yeah, believe it or not. And we make repair tools, supplies, and stuff to do long crack repair. It definitely has a market. It's a very, very niche market. The guys that are really good at it make a lot of money. But I would say, like, for the general audience who's doing mobile reconditioning or automotive reconditioning, it's like you just want to keep it simple, right? You want to make extra money and not have to focus on something new. You don't have to find new customers. You don't want to have to think about like learning all of these advanced techniques. You want to be able to like add something on that fits right into what you do. I don't think for most that long crack repair probably falls within that category. But it can be
the dealerships are gonna bang you down for it. They're gonna be like, "Oh man, can you fix this when it's going from one side to the other?"
Yeah, right. They don't get to hear the 14-inch max limit. It's a 2-inch max limit. So what realistically, like the majority of the stuff is like quarter size, half dollar size.
Quarters.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it would be pretty rare to see a repair larger than that. And when you do get a repair larger than that, it can be just kind of a conversation with the customer, like, hey, you know, it's probably not going to be good as it would normally. It's not going to be. Normally, we have an expectation of like 70 to 90% improvement of optical clarity. When you get onto quarter size, you can get like dirt and grime and stuff in there. So it might, you might say, hey, it might be more like 60 to 70, but I'm happy to do it to restore the structural integrity to it. But yeah, I would say like 95% of repairs fall under that quarter size category.
Yeah. You just made a great point. We were chatting a little bit before the podcast started, and you said structural integrity. And if I asked like 100 people what like the purpose of a windshield on a car, I'm guessing their answer would not be a safety feature, right? If I say seatbelt, they're like safety feature. Windshield, safety feature. That's what you guys are saying. And so talk about how the safety feature and structural integrity part kind of work together and why that's important.
Yeah. Okay. So just a tiny bit of history there, right? Go back to like the 1960s, 1970s, before laminated glass was in windshields, right? It was all like tempered glass or plate glass. So
Right, yeah.
Picture yourself driving down the road, a little 2x4 falls off the back of a truck. This has happened to me, by the way, and goes doom, 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 doom. It flies through the air and spears your windshield. Well,
that's like that one move. That's like Final Destination stuff right there, dude.
Well, in the old setting, right? Like you're screwed. There's massive damage, if not death.
Shatter. Yeah.
Yeah. So the windshield technology came in place, I believe in like the 1970s, like across the board, maybe a little bit earlier. And basically now, a projectile hits it, a rock, a piece of wood, something, or even in the case of an accident, right? In most cases, you're not going to get projected out of the car. Something's going to stop you. The windshield keeps that from happening, which is also what makes it repairable because of the polyvinyl butyrate in the middle of the two panes of glass. So it is a crucial safety component. The other thing is that like in rollover tests and stuff, the windshield makes up a ton of the percentage of the rigidity in a rollover as well. So
really
years ago, when replacements first started happening and they were done in a really shoddy way, I think
stick a little glue in there.
Yeah, they stick a little glue in there.
Some gum
everywhere, and it's like you get in a car accident, boom, your windshield pops out, right? So that was scary. Now that's largely a thing of the past.
Yeah.
We're at a different stage now. But to your point, when you get a rock chip, that structural integrity of the windshield is severely compromised. So there's a huge safety reason to repair it. And this, just to kind of touch on another subject, so our primary goal is to restore that structural integrity back to 100%. The repair accomplishes that if it's done correctly. It restores 100% of the structural integrity. And so like one of the things that we've done, we talked a little bit about innovation earlier, is there's lots of different resins on the market. Well, not all the resins really give you like a good solid bond. So we did some independent testing here a few years ago, and our resin came out on average like 35% stronger in pull tests where they would like test the adhesion and the bond of the repair, because ultimately that's what matters, right? Like as a technician, when you're doing a repair, if you're talking to the customer, it's like, this is designed to restore the structural integrity of glass. I use glass-filled resin. It's this much stronger. Yeah, I'm $10 more than the guy down the street, but that's why. That can be part of the pitch with using good tools and good supplies. But I think did that answer your question?
No, yes, that's actually I mean, rollover test, the windshield being part of structural integrity. I mean, maybe I'm dumb. I never heard about that. Maybe other guys know that, but that's pretty shocking to me. Who they remind me of, Ryan, is like Kiko. Basically, like how like they take this little tiny thing and just make it so much better. It's like this is what's crazy about the world and like why we do the podcast and stuff, because it's like no one thinks about rock chip repair this much except for the people that run the business doing it. Like no one thinks about dent repair and how like all the stuff. We can bore you to death about it, and you're talking about like your resin's 35% strong like that. That's why I love the podcast. That's why we do this stuff, is because like we bring on people that like really care, really make a difference in the industry, and just like in this one tiny little piece of a tiny automotive reconditioning industry and the automotive glass. I don't know, just it kind of blows me away sometimes. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, you're right, but the automotive reconditioning industry as a whole is huge.
Is massive, yeah.
And there's some data that says that depending on the climate and place where you live, like 30% roughly of all vehicles, to 30 to 40 in some markets, have some sort of glass damage. So like the actual market for those that work on a fair amount of vehicles is pretty significant.
Climate's good that you touched on that. Does it matter, whether you're in Arizona or you're in New York, as far as temperature wise goes when you're applying this stuff?
Hot or cold? It's a great question.
With the right tools, it won't matter. first off, I mean, you can do repair in freezing cold, you can do repair in 100-degree weather. Obviously, you get to the extremes of those, there are things that you run into that are more difficult. But like, just to show you an example, I've got our injector here, but this is just one tiny thing that we've done to innovate. So when you do rot chip repair, you put an injector on the glass, and like even guys that are using the old school technology, they'll throw like a rag over it or something.
Yeah. That's what my guy does.
Yep.
Yeah, so they try to keep the sun from like reaching the resin, because the resin is UV cured. So if the sun gets it and it's sticking up, and then it won't flow. So then, several years ago, we developed a UV blocker that had these little cutouts that would go around the injector and would block all the UV. Well, now we've just actually 2 years ago, we introduced the first 100% clear, we call it a UV shell. And this sits right over the injector. So this is like the Zoom injector, which we can talk more about, but it sits right over here. It sits right on the glass like so. So it's 100% transparent. And as a technician, I can see all the repair. I can see what I'm doing, but it blocks all the UV and looks cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
That matters.
So as far as innovation, it's like we look at those little things and we go like, how can we make that easier? How can we make that? So like to your point, Ryan, like, if you're working in a really sunny climate, really anytime you're working out in direct sunlight or where there's a lot of ambient sunlight, you want to put that on, because that prevents the resin from prematurely
Curing.
But even like the Zoom injector prevents another thing we call in hot weather, it's called flowering, where like the resin gets forced into the repair on a really hot day, and it creates this like little line of distortion. We solved that with the Zoom as well. I don't want to bore you with like too many technical details, but a lot of mobile techs out there who look at glass repair and then they like hear some horror story. They're like,
like that
field, and it's just like has this scary factor. And probably the biggest problem that new techs run into is what you just described, Ryan, which is cracking the windshield. And that sounds super scary. And it can be if you're using like traditional tools, because you don't know how far to thread, right? You're threading down against the glass with that tool, and you're like, okay, when do I stop? I think it's a half a turn, or is it a full turn? And so one of the things that we tried to solve, and one of the patented features of the Zoom, just to kind of show you guys here. So with this stand sits on the glass, right? You see those are like a little paw there.
Yeah.
This has these little teeth. So we call this Z-mount technology. So what it does is you load it in here, goes against the glass. When it hits the glass, you get 1 or 2 clicks. The tool prevents you. It's literally impossible to get more than 2 clicks against the glass. And some of that is this steel that has some extra softness to it. So what we've done with this simple technology, and to release it, you just pull this pin and pull it out. But this simple technology, what it's done is it's made it so it's not impossible, but it's like next to impossible to break a wheel.
Yeah,
Right.
Even on a hot day. So just like simple things like that. You talked about, how do we innovate? Well, okay, there's always problems to solve. And that's our goal, is like, let's solve them. Let's make them, and let's solve them in a way that's so simple and intuitive that you don't have to like, you're not adjusting 4 knobs to solve one problem.
That's
You're doing something.
okay. So if you guys want to check out the YouTube video so you can see stuff, just search it on YouTube. I think
Masters of Recon.
Masters of
on
Recon YouTube page, guys. Go there, follow it, like, share, all the things. Also, and the people, it's funny because like now that windshields are $1,200, that's the reason more likely for people to do this. But now more people with old school thinking about chip repair actually don't want to do it even more now, because windshields are $1,200 because they don't want to crack it like you're talking about. But you solved that essentially.
Yeah.
1 out of 1,000. That's pretty awesome. So we touched on it a couple times, and I feel like I need to ask. Ryan was like, you bought the kit and they probably had like a pamphlet and they're like, do this, right? Do you guys have training? Like, do we have to like fly to a corporate training headquarters to learn how to, I don't even know, to fix chips, or what's entailed in that?
I mean,
Great question.
yeah, Derek, you want to take that?
Well, sure. So historically, that's how it's been done, right? Like, you'd have to come visit us in Bend, Oregon, spend a day or 2 here. We teach you all the ins
go
and
to the
outs.
breweries.
Definitely go to all the breweries. Yeah, and forget half of what you learned. that was obviously a problem we had to solve. So we created an online certification platform that really far exceeds any other windshield repair training that there is. And it takes, I don't know, 4.5 hours to get through. So you go through a series of videos and take a quiz, and then go through a series of videos and take a quiz. But it covers all of the ins and outs. And so, getting a new technician up and running, you can literally do it in a day now. They go through the course, get them a windshield to practice on, break it a few times, fix it a few times, give them some variety and stuff to fix. And at a minimum, they'll be good enough to fix all of the basic damage.
In a day. With like a many multiples profit margin of 35 cents is like the amount of resin you use essentially to fill a chip. That's what you're saying? That's the only cost.
And that's if you get certified. If you just go through like our training videos, which, I mean, we have a really nice set of YouTube videos. We pump out new content once a month on YouTube. So that's another way that we have a lot of techs that have just gone through a 30-minute training video and just followed along, and then just go out and start doing repairs. And honestly, you can do a really great repair if you just follow along in the first 30 minutes. But getting certified is another level, because then not only are you trained and you get more advanced training, but then you've got a diploma, you get a discount from us, like a 15% discount on all your supplies. And then, then you can go out and advertise yourself as a certified tech, right? Which allows you to charge a premium as well with your clients, and maybe just differentiate yourself too. And that's completely remote. So, and I'd say one of the little tiny piece on that certification side of things too, like if we have anybody who's listening to this that says has hey man, I got like 15 techs. We even have like the ability to, in some cases, like with our big corporate clients, where we can actually create like sort of a branded certification program for them that's cloned, and then they have like back-end reporting, so they can be like, hey, I've got 100 techs or 300 techs doing windshield repair. I can see all of their status as far as their level of training goes, whether they passed or failed or not, and they can get reporting and automated emails on that. So we're giving them a standardized way to train their technicians.
So how much does it cost to get started? Like you got to buy a kit of stuff, right? Obviously, like the things you're showing us. Is there like different levels, like basic, intermediate, you get advanced clear UV protector thing, or what? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, there's we do 3 levels of kits. So we have the essentials kit, which is kind of your entry level, just enough for what you need to get started to do basic repairs. That one starts at $695. You can upgrade the light, and the price goes up, obviously. Then our best selling kit is our professional kit, which is kind of it's our middle kit. That one retails for $14.95. And then we have a business pro, which is like your Mac Daddy kit, the guy that wants everything and wants the best of the best. And that one's $18.95. When it gets really crazy is when you start looking at the ROI on those. So even the essentials kit for $695, the return on that investment is anywhere from $8,000 to $12,500 for $695.
Mm-hmm. And five minutes of work each time, 5 to 10.
Exactly. And that doubles when you go to the professional kit, and then it doubles again when you go to the business pro kit. So it's huge money.
Are you saying ROI basically is like that's how many chips you could fix? That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
So $700 for essentials, you can do. Let's say it was $12,000. So that's, let's say, 120 chips at $100 roughly.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Ryan asked, do you guys have any like branding stuff that's orderable from your site or anything? Like get the kit, can you get a sign that says certified glass weld technicians or anything? Or
so when you finish your certification, you'll automatically be emailed a PDF that you can download and frame. We do have certification patches that we can send out to if you need one of those. We have
like a hard logo that we can download and use or something.
Yeah, we have like for certified techs, we have a resource page that they can log into and they can get like a Power Glasswell logo if they want to do that. We have hats that they can buy. I think our Business Pro Kit includes that one that Derek mentioned includes certification as well as the hat and some of those extra resources. One thing we haven't touched on too is we also a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago, launched basically like what was sort of like a master class for glass repair as well. That focuses on just the business side of it. Certification focuses on the technical side, but we have a master course as well. It's called a Start a Business course. So even though largely your audience is probably people that are already in business, but there's principles in there that could probably cross over to their existing businesses, but also will help educate them on like, how to sell yourself, how to market yourself, etc. It's really cool. It's like 7 or 8 modules. It's not quiz based, but if you've taken a master class before, it's essentially follows a very similar format to that, and just tries to engage people and help them to learn. And that's included in our Business Pro Kit as well. So you get a couple of courses included in there that kind of help build the value of the kit as well.
If not, how much is it?
I think what is it, 149, Derek, or am I off base on that? I always forget. I think certification's 149. It's somewhere in there. Yeah.
$99 to get certified. I don't remember the business course.
You get certification with like higher level kits too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, then you get 15% off of stuff.
Right.
And trained and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean,
For life.
for life.
Yeah. So it's really easy to make that up.
What about whenever you hire new technicians? Is there like it costs extra to have that technician certified?
Yeah, so the certification applies to the technician, right? So like it'll be in his name. So if the technician were to leave or whatever, he would still be certified. So yeah,
Out $100 whole dollars. After that.
You're out of one repair.
You're out one chip.
Make them sign a non-compete.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real, dude. Seriously. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Waited that, and that is really the best way to handle it. Like one of the things we always tell people, we saw this years ago. People would fly in to want to learn how to do windshield repair into Bend, but they would come in knowing nothing, right? And so then the training to get them up to speed where they're really, really good takes a lot longer. Whereas if you can take someone, you can be like, okay, here's all the head knowledge. This is all the stuff you need to know. Then you put the tools in their hands and you say, okay, let's do 5 repairs together. You can take them from like good to great really, really quickly with the knowledge base. And so that's what certification does. It doesn't completely take off all of the hands-on side, but it catches them up knowledge-wise to the level of a 10 to 15-year technician in a matter of 3 or 4 hours. And then you can complement that with some hands-on.
Yeah. Well, plus you can go back and reference it at any time. So like you run into a specific type of damage, you just look at that video.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then, like you said, y'all have a lot of YouTube video footage, like y'all updating monthly. That's awesome because every other glass company I've seen on YouTube, it's like from 1993, the videos. So I'm happy that you guys are keeping up with the technology base and letting everybody see that.
That's a big deal to us because, like one of the things I was going to show you guys is, we were talking about technology earlier. I'm geeking out on tools here, but I wanted to show you guys this tool.
Oh, cool. PDR guys know. You want to go get some of our tools?
So, even we were talking about like once you get ramped up as a new technician, well, there's the hands-on portion, but there used to be all this guesswork in it. And years ago, we would use like these fluorescent bulbs to UV cure. And the UV curing process could take as long as like 7 or 8 minutes. Then it got down to like 3 or 4. Then we came out with LED technology, which allowed us to do it in about a minute. Well, so the Smart Light came out about 1.5 years ago. And this cuts it down to basically, you just press the button, it ramps up.
Is that cordless?
Yeah, completely cordless, battery operated, USB-C, rechargeable. And it cures windshield repair resin in 30 seconds. And when it comes to pit filler, which is like the final little drop you do, it does it in 15 seconds. Besides that, another little cool thing is that resin in really cold climates or on really cold days, resin cure times drop a little bit. So you need to cure them a little bit longer on like 20-degree, a 20-degree day. But this light knows what temperature it is. And so when it senses that you're below a certain temperature range, it automatically adds more curing time. So the technician doesn't even have to think about it. You just hit the button.
You just gotta press the button.
That's sweet.
Yep.
Wow.
So, and that's just the first phase of smart tech that we're bringing to windshield repair now too. We've got all kinds of other plans in the pipeline, but like this light just came out and kind of changed the game as far as that goes. And the light, just to kind of show you how this sits, like, so you got your injector on, you just finished your repair. So the light goes directly over the top, like so, sits right on the stand, and then you hit the button. So we cure under resin pressure so that you don't lose any resin, you don't get any resin shrinkage while you're curing.
And then don't splat in your face whenever you rip it off, huh?
Right.
Exactly. But I mean, you can also see like when you're using like the tools match where the industry is going, which is like that the windshield is becoming like a piece of tech now. And if you're charging somebody $100 for a repair, like, you don't want to be using like grandpa's tools, right? You want to be using something that walks.
They look nice.
And so these tools are obviously like really high quality, but they also solve a lot of like common problems that people don't think about, or that just are things that you have to learn. There's like all of this knowledge that goes into how to use tools the right way. You guys know that with PDR, there's so much knowledge that goes into it. And so our mission is like, what can we do to take some of that knowledge and just integrate it into the tool, so that the technician doesn't have to think about it.
Impressive.
Like,
that's pretty cool. I'm just sitting here thinking right now, I've been driving around doing mobile repairs for 20 years, and I have had one rock chip my entire life.
You're lucky.
I know, dude. Me too. I've never had one.
Like literally one. And I went to a tent at a gas station, and they said it was free. I mean, it was. I didn't pay them anything. Insurance. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like a tent, and it was like, we use your insurance or some shit. They like build it. I don't even know. Maybe you guys know about that. I don't see those gas stations or those tents anymore. Maybe I live in a nicer area now. Maybe that's why I don't see the tents anymore. I don't know. What's up with that? And why? I mean, does that still exist? I don't even know.
It does. It does. More so in zero deductible states. So it kind of varies. The insurance coverage on that varies from state to state.
Okay.
What would be interesting to see now is like with the cost to replace, what happens to the premiums after that, right? All of a sudden, instead of a couple $100 claim, you've got a $1,200 claim. Whether the insurance company says it's free or not, it'd be interesting to see what the monthly payment is on that.
Yeah, interesting.
Because nothing's really free. I think. I always
thought the logic behind it was like, oh, the insurance company would reimburse this dude like $40 or whatever, so that they didn't have to pay for a cracked windshield. I just thought that's like, thinking back on it, I just figured that was their play.
Yeah, and that's part of the deal. They that definitely still takes place. A lot of guys are cash only. And they do just fine. I mean, if you're billing insurance, you obviously have to you have to be able to submit the invoice, and you kind of have to track payment.
Business, whatnot,
there's this whole like business management aspect to that side of the business. So a lot of guys will just, they're just cash or card, and it most definitely doesn't hurt them.
Yeah, okay.
So what about the insurance side? Like a lot of my customers tell me that they, my insurance is going to cover this whenever they get their windshield repaired. And from my understanding was you had to be part of some type of program. I don't know what the name of this company was. Maybe you guys can tell me, but you had to be in their network to be able to get paid from insurance companies. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so they're called third-party administrators, and essentially what they do is they handle the claim for you. So you submit your invoice to them, they take care of billing the insurance and getting it paid.
That's where all the money went, to the middleman.
Yeah,
to the middleman.
They're still charging the insurance company $150, but we're only getting 45 of that. So
yeah, Yeah, they pay out. I think it's up to 65 in most places, with most companies now. So even the price that the insurance company, even the price that you get paid when you're billing insurance has gone up, because the insurance companies would much prefer that damage get repaired. I would say it really depends on what business you're in, right? So like if you're, say for instance, a detailer, well, your customer is the kind of customer that would pay $300 to get their car washed instead of $14 to drive it through somewhere. They're not going to care if you say, hey, I can take care of this while I'm cleaning your car. It's going to cost you $100. They're going to be like, yeah, do it. So I just think it depends on your specific trade, whether or not insurance is the right thing for you or not.
Yeah.
If we charge a customer $100, say, to fix a rock chip repair, can they take our invoice and have the insurance company reimburse them some amount of money?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the play.
Yeah. And we often recommend that.
That's what I was trying to do when we were still doing rock chip repair. I'm like, look, man, I'm not even dealing with the insurance company. If you want to give them the invoice and have them reimburse you, and it worked out great. When we did do that.
Yeah,
Great way to do it.
in most cases they will reverse it and like take some of the off of you to have to pick up that side. But to Derek's point, like if you get really into glass repair and you're working with like a lot of retail customers, or in your market it's coming up all the time, that is an option for you for sure, to get set up with the TPAs, third party administrators. It takes 3 or 4 hours just to kind of just get all the paperwork done and submit it to them. But then once you're in their network and you're set up, then you build through them. A lot of them have online portals now. And in our Start a Business course, we step people through that, like how to do that. If you want to,
sweet. Yeah.
If you want to do that, here's the different ones. Here's how to reach them. Here's what they're going to ask from you. It's all the stuff that like you guys would already have, business license, like things, right?
ID number. And then you can just do it for free for the customer.
Exactly. Then you can just collect directly from the insurance company. You can also potentially even charge a slight upcharge or whatever. Like, hey, the insurance company will pay me $65.
Yeah.
But I charge an extra $20 or whatever because I do such good work, or whatever. That's can be commission level as well. And Derek, too, like anytime you can bundle services, right? Like there's with windshield repair, if you can take like your ticket as a detailer from $300 to $400 or $475 or whatever, do the same amount of time. That I've also seen some techs that'll like do some like bundle pricing where it's like, hey, if I'm doing this and that, you get a little better price on both.
10% off both services. Well, I mean, it makes it like there's so many PDR guys now too are opening up shops and like adding services, Restore FX being one of them. I don't know if we talked about that, but basically scratch repair, oxidized panels, things like that. What used to be paint correction, we use Restore FX now. So, but in addition to that, we'll do touch up. A lot of times we'll do headlight restoration with Restore FX. And so you throw in chip repair. I mean, that's a lot of the things. Wheel repair.
I guarantee you the dealerships won't mind one bit charging an extra $7,500.
Yeah.
To have a rock chip fix while the car is being restored.
Yeah, because I know what my rock chip guy, the one dude, like I don't actually talk about this, but I've heard like, oh, we called him out and it took like he didn't show up for forever, like a week and a half or something. I'm like, I could do it right now if I'm doing the other stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Good point.
Fascinating.
And I think just like on the other services side, like there are a lot of mobile techs that do other services, but so many of those other services like require you to stop what you're doing and go to something else.
Yes.
And so I think like if you're looking at adding another service, I would just say like put windshield repair high up on the list, because it's the one add-on service that doesn't require that with the right tools, you literally can just fold it into your workflow. And I think that makes it kind of unique.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So all the people that are listening right now, hundreds of them, they're pretty much everybody has Mobile Tech RX. So go in there right now, pull it up, hit new estimate, hit services, and then this one little spot you've never seen at the bottom that says glass on it. No one's ever clicked on before. Click on glass, and then click on this G that looks like it's flying away, and bam, there you guys are. Right there. built into Mobile Tech RX. You guys have some sort of partnership or I don't even know what it is. But you're integrated in Mobile Tech RX. So all the PDR guys that are like, I don't know about blah, blah, it's done, dude. It's already in our invoicing system that 99% of PDR guys use. It's literally right there.
Yep.
Yeah, we helped them design that glass module.
Yeah,
and,
that's awesome.
Awesome.
We actually brought in a bunch of like what I would consider to be experts in the field to help them with that.
The side note on that, like some of the newer cars like Teslas and stuff do have in some cases laminated sunroofs and
Full
windshields.
roof, yeah.
Those can be repaired in just the same way you would a normal windshield. So that's why some of that's in there. You can do things like track your resin that you used, so you can kind of track that over time too, to see like if which repairs look the best, which ones you like the best over time.
But it just looks legit though, because it's like you do PDR and then you do other stuff and you do glass. It all comes on one invoice, and it's just, it makes sense, it's already built into what we're doing. So,
Yep.
Coming up on the end of an hour, I do not want to skip over this, and Ryan and I were both pretty excited about this. You guys have, I guess, I'm guessing it's another system of some sort, a kit of tools for glass scratch removal. Dang, guys. We've all scratched the glass, and it's like you roll it up and like, will they see it? Or, it's like just a little scratch, like,
Yeah.
You guys can fix that, or we can fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
Talk about it.
So we have it's a single step distortion free scratch removal system. So, historically, it could be done, but it was like a multi-step sanding process. You basically had to be like to the level of a fine artist to effectively remove a scratch in a way that didn't make it look like funhouse glass when you were done. And so, we found that we make a polishing compound and the tool that essentially removes no glass, and it'll remove 80-90% of all scratches.
What about scratches from, man, we replaced a lot of not windshields, but side glasses on cars last year for roof shingles, scratching the glass. Is that something that you can fix with that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow.
The sunglass tempered too.
He said definitely. He didn't even, no doubt.
When you say roof shield, you're talking about like a glancing blow, right? Like it's coming
Like
out.
hail. He's talking about hail damage, right, Ryan?
Well, yeah, it's
Park
during
next to the house,
hailstorms. Yeah,
get
and the
knocked
roof
off.
shingles fly off, or a tornado, or some bad wind comes by, and we replaced so many side glasses. And it wasn't like, that's why I tried sanding it out with 80 grit. I was like,
Yeah,
man,
like-
I tried with 2000 grit, that didn't do anything, and then kept breaking
Yeah,
it down. And I was like, man, fuck it, let's do some 80 grit. And I could never get it back to normal. I couldn't get the 80 grit out.
Yeah. So there's
You went from 2000 to 80, first of all.
Dude,
Like,
no, not I broke it down
It's
to
nowhere
like
in between.
320, from 600 to 320, and
All
I
right,
kept
all
going
right,
down. So I'm not dumb.
but to Derek's point, the G-Force, we call it the G-Force Max tool. It's one step for like all of the incidental type stuff. If you get into like gnarly stuff, we do have a multi-step process that can be used for really severe things. But most scratches, like I've done a ton of PDR scratches over the years, and they're thin and they're
thin lines. Yeah.
thin lines. The trick with them is they take about 10 minutes before you start to realize that they're coming out, and between the 10 and 15 minute mark, they'll polish all the way out really quickly. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to polish one out. But they're usually you don't make a lot of them, so they're kind of a perfect candidate for the tool, because where you get into difficulties with scratch removal is like if you know scratches all over the place,
Right.
Each one takes you 10 or 15 minutes, then it's like problematic.
Replace it.
Time. But if you just have like,
Yeah.
And those side glasses are super expensive and sometimes really hard to find.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great option for you there. And then if you get into like, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I was gonna say, so the tool is like completely integrated with a water feed system built right in. So I don't have it here with me, but you can look at it on our website. So you just press a button right on the back, and it triggers water through the machine out through the disc. And it's built for Mobile Tech. So it's like got like a clip that goes around your belt. It's got a pressurized water bottle. Take it like right out on the job, plug it in.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
So can hail, like, I don't know how, I don't run hailstorms, Ryan, or go to them, but like it's fairly often that you do this, Ryan. Like you replace, all the time.
Yeah.
All the
All the
hail guys
time,
are like,
dude.
oh yeah. How much can you charge for a scratch repair on a window, Shiloh or Derek?
I mean, replacement costs, obviously. Shoot.
Easily $5 less.
You know us, we're always trying to get replacement costs
seriously.
for everything. I don't give a
How much
fuck
does it cost to replace?
but
600? All right, $595. $595.
So the deal with scratch removal is as long as it's a little bit less expensive than the replacement glass is, it's a yes. So I mean, my answer is it varies. I mean,
because it's not like, I mean, you guys have chip repair, you're like got a little range, but for scratch repair, it's just like, how much can you get?
Basically,
is that your answer?
I mean, that's basically true.
I mean, especially through insurance, like when you're already making a $5,000 insurance claim for hail or more. I mean, dude, that's legit, Ryan. That's
dude. I fixed. Like, that guy's fixed the chrome moldings on on the quarter glasses.
Yeah,
I've done a ton of them out here in Wisconsin so far, and I'm getting almost replacement costs. I'm like, look, man, it's on back order. I've had glasses for a Jeep Cherokee that they told me they couldn't even get. Like they stopped making them. So then you get to charge whatever amount of money you possibly want. So, man, I'm so excited about the scratch repair.
I'm excited about it too, Ryan. If you do me a favor, like after we're wrapped up, send me some pictures if you have any of that type of damage, and maybe we can even in the future do like a little YouTube video on how to do it, and find
a case. Sure.
I think that'd be awesome.
Okay,
so go grab your roof shingle, dude, and scratch the piss out of a glass.
Exactly. Like I think it's a niche of the market that I hadn't really thought about. That if we provided some video content, I'm sure people could.
That's funny because we were talking before, and you're like, I mean, scratch repair not so much because most scratch repair people like right now is to cover their ass, so you don't sell a lot of kits. But this is actually a way someone can make money, like a real, like a good amount of money. So that seems like a pretty big opportunity. How much? It's a separate kit, right? Obviously. How much is that kit or levels of kit or whatever?
We've got 3 levels. When we think about this, $895 gives you the ability to polish out, that 80-ish% of all scratches. The next one up is $13.95.
Similar price, about the same price as the.
And then the top dog is $18.95 again. So it really depends, what kind of damage you're dealing with, and it kind of differs with the supplies that come in each kit. It equips you.
Yeah, Ryan, I'd try to work with Ryan and figure out like which kit they would need to polish out these types of scratches, and then you guys can recommend it. Say like this is a roof shingle kit right here. Rename it.
I'm already getting all of it anyway. So I'm gonna do whatever I can to figure out how we could all make more money on this thing. So I'm gonna test the limits, and I'm gonna keep up on the Masters of Recon Facebook page with the glass weld and everything we're doing with it, because from what I'm hearing, you'd be an idiot not to go ahead and pull the trigger on adding this. If you even have a dent company, a detail company, Restore Effects, whatever you got, if you're not adding this add-on to your business, you're, like you said earlier, Derek, you're missing out on a ton of money. Yeah, so I'm so excited.
Last question, and I'll give it to you guys to see if there's anything we missed. Mobile guys, even in shop guys running Restore Effects, like how much space does this kit take? Or both kits. I want everything. I want Biz Pro of both. How much room do I need in my truck?
That's a great question. I wish I had the kit in here with me.
Yeah.
A pro kit's probably about but big.
2 feet wide.
Yeah, 2.5.
10,
by like 2.5 feet wide.
Derek's looking right now. Derek's looking.
One drawer in the Milwaukee pack out, dude, and you're done. You can fit it all in there.
Yeah, that's probably true. Seriously,
just a little more rearrangement in the deal.
This is the big one.
That's the big one.
Oh yeah, it's got a whole gun case in there. Gun looking case. Sweet. All right. So basically, like briefcase, 2 of those, nothing.
Yep.
No space.
Yeah, not much at all. And it's all,
Nice.
especially in those upper level kits, it's all custom foam. So everything's
I was just gonna ask you that, dude. See that? Yeah, there's that. You just sold it to everybody right there. It's custom foam. So it's got done. What did we miss? I feel like that was a pretty comprehensive talk about glass chip and scratch repair. Honestly, is there anything we missed? You guys want to share with us about your business or the industry or just anything before we take off?
I mean, for me, the main thing is just what I would hope that everybody can wrap their heads around is that for years and years and years, this revenue has been exclusively captured by the auto glass industry. And we specifically, I don't think any other company could make this claim in our space anyway. We specifically have pushed the envelope with innovation to a point that literally anybody can do it. So at this point, if you're not doing it, if it's not a service you're offering, you're donating the money to someone else. I mean, someone's getting paid. It might as well be you.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would say is if you're looking at new tools, a lot of times you're going to look at different kits on the market that might be $100 to $200 difference in price. Think big picture, beyond $100 or $200, because that difference can be the difference between being able to do multiple services at once or not. And it can be the difference in this being easy or not. So consider that when you're looking at our tools. Our tools are not the cheapest tools out there, but they are the best by far. And they will allow you to do things to make more money that will make up for an extra $100, $200 in a heartbeat. Not only that, they will be a joy to work with, which is what we're trying to do too, is that your tools, you're not fighting your tools. Your tools should work for you. You shouldn't have to fight them. And that's good.
And also, you guys are getting the support. I'm really big on whenever I buy into a company or I buy a product is getting the support. I say it on almost every podcast. The reason why I bought Restore Effects was because of everything after the fact of what they do for us to make sure our business runs and our technicians do great jobs and turn out good quality. So from what you guys are putting out, you're not just buying a Glasswell kit, you're buying into a company that's going to be there to help you out and make sure you succeed in the business.
I'm glad you pointed that out. So I mean, to the extent that you can text any of our inside sales team, and it happens every day. Guys will text over pictures. Hey, how do I handle this one? And boom, their phone will ring. One of my guys will call them up, coach them through the whole process. And we don't charge any money for that. That's
huge.
That's a priceless add-on to a business whenever you're trying to buy something, and that goes a really long way with me. And I've tried everything out in the market. I've bought all those other kits, dude. I wouldn't even mess around with them.
Yeah. You did mess around with them, and that's why you don't do it anymore.
I'm trying to save you. I'm saving you guys all the headache.
Yeah, you are.
Just go ahead and do it the right way, and know that if you have problems, you can always contact Glasswell, and they'll walk you through, getting that problem solved.
Yeah.
Do you guys? So if you made it to the end of the podcast, which I always encourage that you all do, to listen and going forward, because you get to hear almost all your Ryan's mistakes, so you don't have to make them. Do you guys have any offers for anybody listening that I'd like a discount or a free this or upgrade? I don't know. You guys got anything for the listeners of the Masters of Recon podcast?
Yeah, I think what we'd be happy to do is anybody listening to this, if you want to get certified and go through the training and learn about the process, we'll hook you up with a free certification. It's $100 value. It's great to learn about the industry and get started, and then gives you going forward the ability to get a discount on your equipment if you decide to go that route.
15% off. Sweet. Thank you guys. I know everything about glass repair now.
There you go.
Way more than I ever thought I would, which is awesome. I'm buying the kit for sure. I think Ryan already did buy a few of them just now. I saw them on the computer. Just kidding. Right after this.
I will get there.
Maybe once you get home from the hailstorm, you can go buy
I'm gonna do it now. I might even get it shipped over here to the body shop and try to get the body shop to buy a couple kits.
So there you go. He's brokering deals already. All right, guys.
I just want to get this stuff in my hands as fast as possible. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was really fun. We really enjoyed it and appreciate all the questions.
Thank you for listening to the Masters of Recon podcast. If you got any value from the show, then please subscribe and share the show to your favorite social media platform.